window and I touched the baby and I grabbed her hair. I couldn't see all of that. I rolled her over. I rolled her over. She was laying on her side. I rolled her over.
A single gunshot ripped through the night, shattering a mother's joy, a dancer's rhythm, a community's hope. In that split second, everything Ikea Hood had fought for, her dreams, her newborn daughter, her future, vanished. This isn't just a story of a life lost. It's a descent into trust betrayed, secrets unraveled, and a truth so brutal it still haunts the streets of Dallas. Ikea Hood was 17 years old, a girl with stardust in her steps and a baby in her arms, until the person she trusted most pulled the trigger. January 7th, 2024, Dallas, Texas. The air was still cold with the New Year's chill when police sirens pierced the quiet of a modest apartment complex. Inside, they found her, Ikea Hood, crumpled on the floor, blood pooling beneath her, her eyes frozen in a final, unspoken plea. Just 3 weeks earlier, she'd cradled her daughter, Islid, a tiny miracle born into a world Ikea was determined to conquer. She was a dancer, a prodigy, whose feet told stories words couldn't. She was a mother, fiercely protective, dreaming of a life beyond the struggles she'd known. And she was a teenager, caught in a love she thought she understood. But that night, everything changed. Trayvon Wright, her boyfriend, her confidant, the father she believed he was, stood over her, a gun still warm in his hand. What drove him to it? A secret that had festered for weeks, a revelation so explosive it turned love into rage. A paternity test, delivered like a guillotine's blade, revealed Islid wasn't his. In that moment, jealousy ignited. Words became screams, and screams became silence. Now, a family mourns a daughter stolen too soon. A community wrestles with the wreckage of a dream extinguished. And a little girl, just 21 days old, will grow up without the mother who fought to give her everything. This is no ordinary crime. This is a collision of love, lies, and a single, irreversible choice, one that left blood on the floor and questions in the air. What really happened in those final, frantic minutes? And how did a story that began with hope end in a grave? Stay with us, because the truth is only the beginning. In the heart of Dallas, in a modest home on Grambling Drive, Ikea Hood's world pulsed with rhythm. She was 17, a girl whose feet moved like poetry, whose laughter lit up the halls, whose dreams reached beyond the walls around her. But on January 7th, 2024, that rhythm broke. A single gunshot silenced her breath, her future, her everything. To grasp the weight of this loss, you need to know her. The dancer, the sister, the mother who dared to chase the stars. Ikea Hood wasn't just a name in a headline. She was a spark, a standout on Lancaster High School's Tigerette drill team, where her spins flowed so effortlessly, classmates froze to watch. Her coach once said, "She danced like she owned the floor." And she did. Her notebooks were her refuge, packed with sketches of moves she'd one day perfect on a professional stage. Every step she took was for the future she'd promised her daughter. But Ikea's light didn't just shine on the dance floor. At home, she was the pulse of a sprawling family, one of 8 siblings, all drawn to her glow. She'd spark late-night dance-offs in the living room, ribbing her brothers when they tripped, guiding her sisters through every beat. She held them together, the one who made sure no one drifted apart. And then, at 17, she stepped into something bigger: motherhood. Islid, her miracle, her anchor, barely 3 weeks old when it all unraveled. Ikea swore to give her a life of love and fire, to show her a world where dreams didn't just flicker, they burned bright. She'd cradle Icelid to sleep with a playlist she'd crafted just for her, humming as she whispered vows into the dark. Watch me, baby girl. I'll show you how far we can go. Picture her room, dance trophies glinting beside Icelid's crib, worn shoes kicked off by the bed, a crumpled photo of her drill team tacked to the wall. It was a collision of ambition and care, a snapshot of the life she was carving out. Ikea had a plan, a studio where young mums could dance, their kids laughing nearby, a space where passion didn't bow to duty. She was ready to build it. But dreams can crack. And on that January morning, as dawn broke over Dallas, Ikea's world would collapse. A secret, a clash, a gunshot, and the girl who danced through life would vanish. Her room, once ringing with joy and lullabies, would turn cold, a crime scene etched in silence. Her sketches, her promises, left to scatter like ash. This is Ikea Hood, not just a victim, but a girl who lived fiercely, loved deeply, and dreamed without limits, and the shadow that swallowed it all. Love can be a battlefield. For Ikea Hood and Trayvon Wright, it was a war zone, fierce, fragile, and fraying at the seams. Their 2-year romance wasn't just a roller coaster, it was a ride with no safety bars, careening between passion and peril. Friends saw the cracks. How Trayvon's eyes darkened when Ikea smiled at someone else. How his texts flooded her phone like a storm surge. Where are you? Who's with you? Ikea laughed it off, called it love. But love doesn't check your phone at 2 a.m. Love doesn't slam doors when you're 5 minutes late. Trayvon's jealousy wasn't loud. It was quiet, creeping, the kind that coils tighter with every doubt. He'd scroll through her messages, his jaw clenched, hunting for threats that weren't there. Ikea, ever the optimist, thought she could soothe him, thought her love was enough to tame the storm brewing inside him. She didn't see the fuse already lit, burning slow but steady. Then came the twist that would snap it all apart. Trayvon believed Icelid was his blood, his legacy, his claim on Ikea's future. He'd puff out his chest when he talked about his girls, already planning a life that wasn't his to build. But the truth was waiting, sealed in an envelope that Ikea dreaded to open. The test was clear. Icelid wasn't his, and in that moment, Trayvon's world didn't just crack, it imploded. He stared at the results, his hands shaking, rage boiling behind his eyes. Everything he'd built in his mind, fatherhood, control, the life he thought he deserved, gone. Ikea planned to break it gently, to cushion the blow with soft words and promises of friendship. She didn't know that for Trayvon, this wasn't just rejection, it was annihilation. Experts will tell you, in abusive dynamics, rejection is a match to gasoline. When control slips, violence often follows. Trayvon's grip on Ikea was already slipping. Her independence, her dreams, her baby that wasn't his. And in his mind, there was only one way to claw it back. Teens like Ikea often misjudge the danger, convinced they can navigate the storm. They think love is a lighthouse, not realizing it's the rocks beneath. Ikea believed she could handle Trayvon's temper, believed her voice could calm the waves. But on January 7th, 2024, as she waited in her room, rehearsing the words that would shatter his illusion, she couldn't hear the countdown ticking louder. Little did she know, her gentle truth would be the spark that ignited a deadly inferno. January 7th, 2024. Dallas woke to a warmth that belied the chill of winter, the kind of morning that whispered of beginnings. But inside the Hood home, the air was thick with endings. Ikea Hood paced her room, her favorite Lancaster High sweatshirt hanging loose on her frame. She muttered under her breath, rehearsing words she never thought she'd have to say, words that could break a heart, or worse. At 9:47 a.m., her phone buzzed. A text, "I'm outside. Trayvon." Her stomach tightened. She'd planned this moment, but now it felt like stepping into a storm, blindfolded. Downstairs, her mother folded laundry, nodding when Ikea called out, "We'll be in my room." The door clicked shut. Then, the lock turned, a sound so small, yet it echoed like a warning. Inside, the air crackled. Trayvon's voice cut through the room, jagged and raw. "You made me believe that baby was mine." Ikea's reply was steady, but her hands trembled. "You're scaring me, Trayvon." He didn't hear her, or maybe he did. Maybe that was the point. Her brother froze outside the door, his breath caught in his throat. He knew that tone. He'd heard it before. At 10:30 a.m., the shot rang out, a crack that split the morning wide open. Downstairs, Ikea's mother dropped the laundry, her heart plummeting with it. She sprinted up the stairs, feet pounding in time with her screams. "Ikea! Ikea!" The door was locked. She rattled the handle, pounded the wood, but silence answered. Then she saw it. The window. She ran outside, circling to the window. Her breath fogged the glass as she peered in. And there, in the stillness, lay Ikea, crumpled on the floor, blood pooling beneath her, her eyes open but unseeing. In her hand, a photo of Icelid, crumpled and stained. The room was empty. Trayvon was gone. A morning that began with hope ended in horror. A locked door, a single shot, and a life extinguished. But the truth was just beginning to unravel. January 7th, 2024, 10:40 a.m. The Hood home is no longer a sanctuary, it's a crime scene. First responders pushed through the door to find Takoya Lester collapsed, clutching her daughter's lifeless body. Ikea Hood 17 lies still, a single gunshot wound to her chest, the blood stark against the floor. Paramedics kneel, their faces grim. The verdict is final, fatal at close range. No pulse, no hope. The window tells a story of cowardice. Trayvon Wright didn't linger. He fled, scrambling through the frame, leaving behind a shattered room and a truth he couldn't outrun. A lamp lies toppled, Ikea's phone screen cracked on the floor, and in her hand, a crumpled photo of Icelid, her final grip on what mattered most. The scene screams of haste, of rage, of a plan unraveled. Dallas police move fast. The affidavit paints a chilling picture. Ikea had invited Trayvon to her room to reveal a paternity test, proof that Icelid wasn't his. His response wasn't words, it was a bullet. Detectives piece it together. The locked door, the torn screen, the neighbor who heard the shot at 10:30 a.m. Every clue points to one name, Trayvon Wright. January 8th, less than 24 hours later, an arrest warrant is issued. Trayvon Wright, 17, is now a fugitive, charged with murder. The city becomes a chessboard. Dallas PD and U.S. Marshals fan out, combing alleys, interrogating contacts, chasing whispers through the streets. He's out there, running, hiding, but the net is tightening. January 9th, the hunt ends. U.S. Marshals corner Trayvon, his defiance crumbling under their glare. He's booked into Dallas County Jail, a $500,000 bond, locking him behind bars. But the weight of his actions is heavier than any chain. The affidavit lays it bare. A paternity bombshell, a moment of fury, and a single shot that stole a mother, a daughter, a dreamer. The evidence is undeniable, the suspect caged. But for Ikea's family, justice is a hollow word when the one they loved is gone forever. The question lingers, how did it come to this? January 8th, 2024. Lancaster High School is a ghost of itself. The hallways, once alive with laughter and chatter, now hum with a heavy silence. Ikea Hood's absence is a wound no one can ignore. Her locker, number 237, has become a shrine. Draped in roses, flickering with candlelight, crowned with her tigerette drill team boots, polished to perfection as she always kept them. Students pass by, heads bowed, some pausing to trace her name on a note pinned to the metal. Forever, our star. Her teammates gather in the gym, where Ikea's laughter once echoed off the walls. They stand frozen, unable to imagine practice without her commanding the floor, her voice calling out counts, her smile lifting them higher. She made us better, one whispers, her voice breaking. How do we dance without her? The question hangs unanswered, as heavy as the grief that binds them. 2 days after the tragedy, the community gathers to mourn. On Lancaster High's practice field, hundreds stand shoulder to shoulder. Classmates, teachers, neighbors, strangers, united by loss. Ikea's uniform takes center stage, a silent testament to the girl who moved with grace and fire. As balloons, red, white, and gold, her team colors, rise into the darkening sky, a hush falls. Then, a sound cuts through. The soft, wrenching cries of Icelid, cradled in her grandmother's arms. In the crowd, Ikea's sister steps forward, her voice trembling but fierce. She was our glue, she says, clutching a photo of Ikea, laughing with her siblings. She held us together, and now we'll hold Icelid with every ounce of love she had. Her words ignite a ripple of nods, of tears, of promises whispered in the dusk. Toya Lester, Ikea's mother, raises her eyes to the sky, her face etched with pain and purpose. This won't be in vain, she vows. We'll fight for justice, for Ikea, for every girl who deserves to live. Lancaster High will never be the same. A star has fallen, but her light lingers, in the boots by her locker, in the medals on her uniform, in the cries of a daughter who carries her mother's spirit. For Ikea's family, this is more than grief. It's a call to action, to protect Icelid, to honor a legacy, to ensure no other family stands where they do now. But the fight for justice is just beginning, and the truth demands to be heard. Ikea Hood's story isn't just a tragedy, it's a warning, carved in blood. Domestic violence doesn't care about age or dreams or the life you've planned. It creeps into the lives of teenagers, hiding behind whispered promises and jealous glances until it strikes with a force that steals everything. Ikea was 17, a dancer with stars in her eyes, a mother with love in her heart. But jealousy and control turned her love story into a death sentence. Her story isn't rare, it's a pattern. Trayvon's possessiveness, his need to know her every move, his rage when control slipped. These weren't love. They were red flags, waving in plain sight. A domestic violence expert's words cut through the haze. If you see the signs, possessiveness, isolation, don't wait. Speak up, because silence can be deadly. Ikea thought she could tame the storm. Too many do. There's help out there, closer than you think. The National Dating Abuse Helpline offers 24/7 text support for teens caught in the chaos. Text LOVEIS to 22522. School counselors, community centers, even a trusted teacher. They're lifelines for those who feel trapped. Ikea didn't know how close the danger was, but you can. You can change the ending. This isn't just Ikea's story, it's a mirror. Have you seen red flags in a relationship? A friend's partner who checks their phone, who isolates them, who turns love into fear. Don't look away. Share your story below. Your words could save someone. And ask yourself, what's one step your community can take to protect its youth? A workshop, a hotline, a conversation. Let's start it now. IKEA's light was stolen, but her legacy can burn brighter. Every call for help, every warning heeded, every life saved is a tribute to the girl who danced, who loved, who deserved so much more. This isn't the end. It's a beginning, a cry for change. Will you answer it? Ikea Hood was no fleeting shadow. She was a force, a dancer whose steps commanded the stage, a dreamer whose sketches mapped a future unbound, a mother whose love for her daughter, Islid, burned brighter than any spotlight. At 17, she was building a life that promised to soar. But on January 7th, 2024, a single bullet stole her breath, her rhythm, her tomorrow. Her loss is a wound that cuts deep, carving grief into the hearts of her family, her community, and all who hear her story. But IKEA's light doesn't fade. It lives in the laughter she shared with her 7 siblings, in the choreography she etched into notebooks, in the vows she whispered to her 3-week-old daughter. It endures in the shrine at Lancaster High, where her drill team boots stand proud, and in the balloons that carried her name to the sky. IKEA was more than a victim. She was a beacon, and her legacy demands to be seen. This tragedy doesn't have to repeat. IKEA's story is a clarion call to recognize the red flags, to break the silence, to act before love turns lethal. Domestic violence thrives in the shadows, but awareness and action can drag it into the light. Every conversation, every outreach, every step toward change is a thread in a tapestry of hope. A world where stories like IKEA's end not in heartbreak, but in triumph. Join us, subscribe to Unreal Minds, and become part of a movement to build that world. Share IKEA's story. Speak out. Save a life, because her light still shines, and together we can make sure it never dims.